Hello.
Hello.
Looks like it's time for another buddy cop story.
Oh. It's time.
Yeah. How are you doing? How's your weekend going?
It's going well. I'm eating pizza. Right now.
Ooh. Pizza's great.
That Costco pizza.
Ooh, Costco pizza? Nice.
I just got home from a convention.
Oh? What kind of convention?
I was at a Motor City Comic Con. I'm fine sharing that information being public. Everyone knows I'm from Detroit.
Oh, right on. Well, Crimson also isn't off his starting soon screen yet, so.
Okay. Bing bong.
Bing 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 bing. I know that feel. So anyway, Crimson's a really great guy, and I really like him so much, but... Oh, hey, Crimson. Who would do something? Also, I started playing Soulframe about 30 minutes ago. Super great game.
Frame?
Yeah. Soulframe, yeah.
Is that like Soul Plane or Soul Train?
I forgot my mic was muted on OBS.
So, Soulframe is, it's from the same people that did Warframe, except it takes place in a different time period, and you can be a warrior, a shaman, or a ranger. Pretty great. I've only played it for about 30 minutes, but I'm enjoying it.
Is there still a lot of butts in it?
Still a whole lot of bots in it? No, it's all like...
Butts.
I said, wait.
Butts. Because
What?
they make so many of their Warframes have just gratuitous booty.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh.
gotcha.
Oh, as per...
I looked it up. It doesn't look like it's the case. I don't know how they're gonna get their player.
I thought you were literally saying bots.
That's
No,
what I
know,
thought.
I get. There's no way he could have been saying bots. He must have been saying bots.
Yeah, that's
Totally.
it. But yeah, no, I totally understand what you mean. But no, Soulframe seems to be pretty modest so far.
I don't know how they're gonna get their old player base. I don't know how they're gonna do it.
But hang on a second. We put a pause on that. We
But
got Discord here. All right. So this is a little bit of a different kind of session here. Let me get the music. All right. Let's go here and. All right. So obviously we don't have enough people to continue our combat encounter just yet. Now, I'd prefer to have either a supermajority of all people, minus one person potentially, or just to have everybody in general. Because this is big. It's a milestone. So, I'm going to be doing instead is something a little different. Reflavoring, if you will. So what I'm going to do, go back to my list here, Baldur's Gate maps, here we go. All right. To give a little bit of a recap for last session, there's a lot of combat. Well, you know what? I think it'd be more appropriate to give a recap. Last session for the next session. This is a little bit more or less a how could I put this? A lore episode. Some people will tune out and immediately say, lore episode? More like a filler episode. Kind of, yes, ish. But I also...
What have you been drinking?
What is this, Naruto?
Listen, I came up with an idea. I don't know if you have you guys been watching Critical Role's latest campaign?
No, not the latest one.
So, what they do at the beginning of every single session is they have a flashback with one character or a group of characters, or even checking in current time with another party elsewhere. To start things off, although this is going to be the entirety of the session.
Flashback to that time we totally got into a bar fight, right, Aldyen?
Yeah, right? I don't give a dang about my reputation.
It's just the Shrek fight scene.
Yes.
That exact thing. Get in the chair!
Oh my gosh. Let me have a look-see at some of these maps and whatnot. Alright. Let me... Alright, so... Let me ask who in particular would like to go first.
I don't have a preference.
Thanks for volunteering, Aldyen.
Dang it.
Yeah, I'm not taking down turn order because I don't want Roll20 to potentially be Roll20.
Right, sure.
So there's not going to be any rolling for initiative, but let's see. I will. Let's see. Ooh, that might be a good choice right there, potentially. Okay. I'm trying to find a perfect map for this.
So much D&D to do today.
Indeed.
This session, and then I've got the finale of Super Smash Quest after this.
Ooh.
Are you winning?
I hope so.
Let's see. Looking at all the everything that I have here. Okay. Let me see. Let me go over to the excess. All right. I think that might do it there. Okay. Perfect. All right. So, first and foremost, Aldyen.
Hello.
Put a pause on the music right there. All right, let me set this for you here. Because everybody's just about, and of course, with the exception of a certain bulk, has not had any sort of reflection on their past in particular. But let's have a reflection on our Dragonborn here. Actually, let me do this here. So, let me also change this here on for Roll20. Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. I've got to change this spot on the screen. There we go. All right, so let me put on the DM helmet so nobody could read my poker face. There we go. All right, so let me get Roll20 pulled up on here. Window capture Is that it? Is that it? There we go, that's it. Perfect. All right. So, as I've said multiple times, just trying to find the right musical track for this. Ooh. Setting the scene here for you. I'm going to be moving some characters first onto the, let's see, onto the character sheet. All right, so, let me get, okay. Ooh. Okay, there's you, there's, let me go to my bucket of good guys here. Wait, why don't I have... No. Here we go. Alright. Moving some characters onto the scene here. And... let's see. Now I'm going to get this character right here. So this is a little bit of a flashback to your soldiering days.
Oh boy.
Yes. So you are... let me set the scene here. What's happened is you and your fellow soldiers are sent to a village to help quell this growing cult that has developed within the confines of your home kingdom. Let's see, why isn't this pulling up? Okay. Try and do this. Hold on a second, I have to refresh. This roll 20 is being roll 20. Oh, come on. No. Come on. There we go. It will pull up. There's a lot of search results pulling up right here. So you and the rest of the men went to this village. You're one of the newer people within this regiment specifically. You were moved from one to the other. And let's see here. Ooh. Let's go for... where... Okay, hold on a second here. Let me move all these. As you moved into this village, you noticed that it was eerie, quiet. There are even parts of it that had become decrepit. There was word going around that a cult was developing in part of the kingdom, specifically revering a being that the cultists, some of the cultists that were captured, as far as you could tell, referred to this being that they worshipped and venerated called the Whispered One. This specific group was led by a necromancer who had taken this village, essentially hostage, originally posing as a healer. And come to find
Fun.
out, yes, come to find out he didn't have healing involved whatsoever in any thought process coming to this village. He only had usefulness for people.
Necromancer's kind of healing. It's just really late.
I was about to say.
Yeah, it's just really late healing.
So what ends up happening is combat begins. Of course, you're told to try and evacuate any civilians that you could find. And it turned out to be quite the slog, quite the battle. It's massive as, let me go to, see if I could adjust lighting for this here, because I don't know why it's
He
so
was gonna
dark.
be joining me in this little roleplay backstory, not in his character, but playing a NPC.
Throw me a random character sheet, Sarge. Put me in coach.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Pull up the randomizer. We'll make it work.
All right, so you will, let's see here.
What's my motivation?
What's your motivation?
Bad guys need to die.
All right.
Oh, bad guys are already dead. Well, re-dead, that is.
Oh.
Re-dead. Dead again.
Yeah,
Re-bad guys need to re-die.
So nice, you kill him twice.
okay, let me, copy, paste, add a couple more people here. Let me add another. Oh, hang on. No. Okay. Trying to find one more NPC to add in here real quick. So as you guys approached the village, you found out that, or as you were sent around to evacuate some of these homes to find people, come to find out there weren't that many people left. These people had believed, because there was this plague that was spreading around the kingdom at the time.
Separate of this issue?
No. Related.
Okay.
So there was a plague that was going on in the kingdom, that there's whole villages that were being quarantined and whatnot, people being affected by this plague. This man came in claiming he was part of this cult that came down from the mountains to the south of the kingdom, saying that he could heal the people of this village, that he could bring restoration to their bodies from the illness that had plagued them. And this is where you're at right here, as specifically, this is roughly several years ago. This is before you met Fate.
Also, he was a bad boy.
So basically,
You have a voice of reason.
Yeah, so I now have nothing holding me back.
so what's happening now is there are several people. Of course, this cleric over here that's traveled with you. She is currently praying over the deceased in order to remove the impurities from them, so they could be properly buried. In other words, so they don't have to have any wards put over their caskets or graves, or their bodies don't have to be burnt. As this is happening right now, you are currently guarding the outskirts right here with one of your fellow compatriots. His name is... Hold on. Give it right here. His name is Tarkin Dawes.
Thanks.
And he was actually one of the few people that basically welcomed you when you were both going through initial training for the military here. He was one of the few people that reached out to you, took you under his wing, and said, we're going to get through this together. It's actually one of the reasons why you two made it out of here. Or specifically made it out of training in one piece. It was very, very challenging, let me put it that way. The challenges that a kingdom faces, even though it's surrounded by mountains, you have very few channels people can come through, yes, but if you pile enough people through, or a rival kingdom, potential rival kingdom from the west, potentially come screaming down the mountains, you have to have somebody that can match the might that they will bring to the table. Considering the factor that that rival or potential rival kingdom was your initial home kingdom, before you came to this one, before you'd met fate. So currently, yeah, you and Tarkin are currently on the outside right here, as Tarkin would say, it's a complete mess, it is. This whole situation.
Yeah, I don't know what caused this plague or whatever, but I hope it gets sorted out fast. I'm sick of seeing dead bodies.
Well, not only that, you got false saviors running about, like that necromancer over there. Says he points to the fountain. Of course, the necromancer isn't currently in sight. He's currently deceased over here on the inside of the fountain. He's a couple of guards watching, or really overwatching their bodies, like 4 of them. With swords at the ready. They have the clerics, actually, she's given these 4 guards bottles of holy water to basically cover their weapons in if these things were to rise back up.
So I was here for this battle then?
Correct. You were told, specifically you and Dawes were told to try and evacuate people, any people that you could find, but unfortunately most of those people had been devoured by their own friends and family.
I'm gonna look over at the woman who's praying over the dead bodies and just kind of like scoff and then turn back around to face the road out. I never put much faith in the gods. The only thing I ever put my faith in was steel. It's the only thing I can depend upon. It's the only thing that saved us this day.
True, though that the holy water came in handy. Kept them down.
Was it truly holy water, or perhaps it was just water with some sort of alchemical properties that kept the undead down?
You know, I'm not exactly, I'm not exactly sure myself, really. I didn't really check the bottles, neither did I get one of the bottles. I was given those 4 chaps over there.
I suppose. So what do we do now that this town has been purged?
Well, we're still waiting on orders from the commandant, he says as he points towards the, this well-armored figure, tall, stalwart human. You would recognize him as your, specifically, the NCO of this detachment right here. He'd be given the rank of sergeant.
Okay. Does he look busy?
He's currently having a conversation with this man right here, asking what, he has in his hand a tome and is using a charcoal pen to, or initially was using a charcoal pen to write everything down. He got an inkwell and quill from the cleric in order to give permanence and keep it on the book instead of it like smudging and everything. They wanted permanent results, permanent means of writing down and recording what happened here. So he's currently recording events as the sergeant here is asking for any details.
Got it. All right. Well, Tarkin, I guess I'll just wait till he's done having his conversation, and then I'll go ask him what our orders are.
Aye, it's just one thing that's got my gut twisted up like this. He says he looks to his left and to his right. You know this cult popped up in another town, don't you? This isn't an isolated incident.
No, I didn't know that.
Aye, my brother is in another detachment, sent out east towards the mountains. They encountered a village there. Except there weren't any undead. There was a massive ritual circle in the middle of the town, painted in blood. Everyone was gone. They looked like... How else do I put it? You ever seen a water skin completely empty, dried out?
Yeah. Gets dry and cracked and shriveled.
Aye, they all look like that. Skin and bones. No longer alive. Nothing left.
So then what, they stole everyone in the town's blood?
I don't know. My brother could only tell him so much very vaguely. After all, they've been checking the mail in between one point and the other. Obviously, everyone's nervous about this.
How far away was this town?
Aye, from the capital or here?
Here.
Ugh. I'd probably say, about 3.5 days travel on horseback.
It's quite a distance for 2 incidents from the same cult.
Aye. I don't know if it could be sporadic, don't know if they've been here a long time. It's really guesswork at this point.
I'm gonna check and see if the sergeant is done with his conversation.
All right. So you would see the sergeant. He takes the book into his hands, looks over the pages. Understood. All right. So we must make note entirely how all of these people died. It was by no ordinary circumstances. Yeah. Yes, Commander. I don't agree with the fact that, well, everybody is completely gone. It's not entirely true, but as soon as we're done here, we'll search the outskirts to see if anybody fled into the fields nearby. In the meantime, continue going from building to building, making notes. Understood? Yes. Yes, what? Yes, I know you're new here, but yes, Sergeant. You addressed me as Commander earlier. I'll forgive that, for now. Now go. Yes, Sergeant. So he immediately makes his way over to around this corner here, off into another building, as Sergeant then turns to look at the building in front of him. Hands on his hips, he just sighs as he turns to face these other 2 men right here.
were you doing like a German accent for him?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, right on. I was gonna ask if he was Zemnian.
I mean, you could ask him.
I don't know if that would be an appropriate question right now. We're dealing with a village full of dead people. Excuse me, sir, are you Zemnian?
I mean, you could ask him.
Hold on. I got this.
The gravel crunches underneath your feet as you approach the sergeant. And as he's looking over at these men, almost muttering to himself, he hears the crunching of the gravel underneath your boots as he then turns to face you. Oh! Private Aldyen! How can I help you?
Well, Sergeant, I was just wondering what we were to be doing here still. I mean, it seems like everything's still contained, and everyone appears to be, well, dead that needs to be dead.
Well, right now we're currently tallying whatever else that we can about specifically if there's any evidence at all that people were able to flee the village. And then, once everything has been handled, as our lady cleric over there is handling the sort of purification rites on the undead, we will scan the rest of the village in the fields outside in order to see if there's anyone still alive. I highly doubt it, but that's what we're called to do. Is that clear?
Understood. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Sergeant.
Thank you. Again, I'm showing leniency right now. We lost too many good people to the undead. And that necromancer, he says as he turns to face the fountain, I think that might be the only body that we burn. Unless... He then turns, he cups his hands around his mouth. He says, "A cleric, milady." She immediately turns and starts walking towards him. He says, "No. I listen. Keep doing what you're doing. Listen. Purify the necromancer, but do not bury the body. We're going to be loading him up into a cart." Are you sure, Sergeant? Yes, milady. Please. Continue what you're doing. She immediately turns back to the dead in front of her and continues with her rites as she's actually taking a little bit of holy water in hand, running it over her hands, and actually like dripping it each upon their foreheads. And it's interesting. I need you to give me a perception check here on what exactly you could spot in this moment.
All right. Perception check.
So it's kind of like the sergeant, he sidesteps a little bit so you could get a clear enough vision of what's ahead of you. So yeah, with the 3, you could see that to you, it looks like she's flinging water at them. Just like flinging water.
Uh-huh.
Maybe alchemical water, you don't know.
Excellent.
But as
Sergeant, what is the purpose behind all of this?
the purpose behind what she is doing, or us remaining here?
Sure. Pretend I asked both questions.
So the purpose behind what she is doing is a purification rite. It is to make sure that the undead remain dead. That the deceased remain deceased, because there are certain necromantic spells and whatnot that can bring back the dead even after they have been slain. It's a incredibly complicated means of restoring their constitution, even though it has already been lost in the rotting. It's most terrible.
Why not just burn the bodies and be done with it?
Because they are our people, Aldyen. Also this. We must examine if these people were healthy or if they were diseased. If they had the plague in them, then we could tell whether or not these people responded because of the plague or responded preemptively to not receive the plague. Maybe these cultists are twisting people's minds before they've even been touched with it. We need to know for certain. The Chancellery is trying to figure things out in the capital city, and Command wants us to figure out the same. Our goals are mutual.
Understood.
Indeed, indeed. Aldyen, let me ask you this. Private. Actually, he holds out his hand, almost like a pause for a moment as he looks around your shoulder and says, Private Doors! Tarkin Doors! Approach! Aye, Sergeant. I'm here. Tarkin, I want you to hold position on the road, to keep observing there. Understood? Yes, Sergeant, he says as he salutes him. The Sergeant salutes him back. Now, continue your post. Keep an eye out. If you see any movement at all, let us know. We need to know if there are any hostiles out in the fields or villagers. Tell us which, right? Yes, Sergeant. Says as he looks over at you, then walks back to where you're standing previously, hand on the pommel of his blade as he looks out into the waving fields of grain that surround this village. This small village here appears to be just a small farming community. Common folk. People not involved in any upper echelon of anything, government. These people are just trying to get by, and this plague is hitting everyone. It's then that the sergeant turns to you and says, Private Aldyen, I want you to follow Corporal Lesson, alright? He just went over there, in that building. I want you to follow him and help him in his observation of the village. Understood?
Understood.
I want to make sure we get every detail and everything correct. Because we may be leaving this village, but the military detachment will stay here after we depart to set up a garrison. After all, the entirety of the village is gone. There's nothing left. Might as well not leave this place unoccupied, so bandits will have their way with it. Or even set up an outpost of their own. Go up to Corporal.
Understood.
As you enter into this building, you smell this smell of burnt wood. In the battle, to explain the holes in the building and some of the debris, the necromancer had many a casting of fireball. Let's just say that things got explosive in the town as this necromancer destroyed and rotted structure. An entire house was obliterated in one blast. Holes were made in others as there were several casualties from your detachment. The men that you see here are all that's left from the battle. Some were devoured by the undead. Some were destroyed by the necromancer's magic. It's in here that you see the corporal scribbling away as he's looking at the floor right here. Let me just, I'm actually going to move your token a little bit so that this could be drawn out here. Move your token a little bit so I can draw this here on the floor. It's all good. So what I'm going to do, going to change the coloration here. It is going to be, whoop. All right, so it's going to be that. And it's going to have some, okay. I'm just going to have a circle right there. I'm not going to draw anything like intricate. But you see this circle inside this room that the corporal is making note of as he's scribbling on this first page. He looks over to his right, hears you walking in. Hey, Private.
Corporal.
This is a whole mess, this is. I believe this is one of the circles right here that was used to heal the people of this village.
Interesting.
Not much healing more than anything else. It seems that these people were given some sort of allure of sorts, believing that this healer could bring a means of defending, some means of defending against the ongoing illness that is afflicting so many people. I do note this, actually. While I'm writing, basically what I'm doing is it says he turns the book around, and he is redrawing the circle on the page, like even with all the glyphs that are in the circle in and of itself. He turns to you and says, I'm not much of a mage myself. I'm not very magically inclined. Tell me, what can you note of the circle?
On his page or on the floor?
On the floor, and I'll need you to give me an Arcana check. That'll determine what exactly you can find from the circle in front of you.
Boy.
And
I'm so arcanically inclined.
You never know.
Oh well, I do have +1, so.
With a 12, you're able to note, for one thing, that this circle is, it's not made in chalk. It is, with the sigils of the circle, from the studies that you had in basic training, you would recall of specific circles that blood mages would use. Magic specifically being channeled and used from people's own blood, the life source within their bodies, in order to, and of course using a corruption of the weave to try and yield the results that they please. So with the 12, you would denote that from your basic training, specifically on some of the cults that exist across the continent.
Alright. Well, for one thing, this is written in blood. As if they thought that they could accomplish something great with that.
Immediately the corporal looks up from his page. He looks over at you, just with a look of horror on his face as he says, "Are you serious? I thought that was paint." He says, he takes his quill, and then he just scratches out he had written out this note on the page right here. He's like, wait a minute, this isn't paint.
I'm gonna I'll walk over and I'll take my finger and like rub into one of the sigils or whatever, and just rub it between my fingers and show him blood dries a very brown color.
Mm-hmm.
But this appears to still be wet.
As you touch one of the sigils, I'm gonna roll this behind the screen here.
Oh boy.
Okay. Nothing happens.
Okay, that's good.
Immediately, the corporal, he looks over at you. Then he looks at where you scrubbed one of the sigils off the ground, and goes, "Pretty bold to just go out there and touch that. I mean, it's very unsanitary as well."
Well, I don't believe in magic. I don't believe in gods. I believe in my steel. And if you ask me, this is all just a charade.
What do you mean?
You really honestly believe that some healer is healing the sick and turning them into zombies? This could be explained away with fungus of some sort, some mind control spell, anything.
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, we know that he's not a healer, obviously. I mean, I've made note of that myself, he says, as he quickly blows, like, air onto the page in order to dry the newly pressed ink onto the page as he flips back, as he says, I noted that we found a what's commonly referred to as a Necronomicon that was found on the mage's hip. This book, I mean, we haven't been able to discern too much from the pages. The cleric hasn't had the time either to look through. But I made note of it. It's, I believe it's still on his hip. Nobody's dared to touch it just yet. But apparently it's different than what a wizard would typically carry around, from what the cleric described. She did, however, put a protective ward around him specifically to ensure that nobody would come in contact with it. And to contain any magics it might still have active on it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, this circle is made with people's blood. Lovely. That's all I need to know. Give me the heebie-jeebies enough as is trying to handle those undead buggers out there.
What bothers me about this circle is, as I stated, this blood hasn't dried. Despite the fact that we just fought a battle where they were slinging fireballs and whatever around.
Aye. It's true. He continues to move around the circle here, walking around it. So this might possibly be where they started everything, potentially. I mean, from what I could tell, there used to be a cot over here, but it was burned by one of the attacks. From over here, maybe a screen. There's a lot of debris everywhere. Just as he points over here to this shelf. Looks like an old potion shelf right there. Herbal means of herbal remedy and whatnot. Maybe. Honestly, I wouldn't suggest that it would even come down to fungus. I mean, from observation, he didn't have any signs of fungal growth on him. So it wasn't like anything like, whatchamacallit. It was mentioned by my brother as these mushroom people that come out from the Underdark, I believe. I've never seen one myself, but he claims he has. Said it was the weirdest thing. But yeah, the mage didn't have any fungal growth. He just, had a lot of swelling pride amongst anything else in his work. And from the looks of it, he didn't leave anybody behind.
We're talking about the myconoids. Myconids.
Yes, correct. Above table. But as he makes note of the circle right here, he carefully walks over. Oh, hang on. Okay, carefully walks over here to check out some of the tinctures on the ground. If there's anything left, he's mainly carefully and in metal boots. Still wearing his plate armor. He's moving over some of this glass, just trying to be careful with it. Even though he's fairly safe, glass against metal, but in solid steel at that. As he makes his way over here. Let's see here, nothing left on the wall. There's nothing really left of any of these potions. Nothing to collect. It's all gone down, covered in soot and rubble. Alright. I think I've made enough note to this place right here. Tell you what. Let's, I think the cleric is still performing her rites outside, but, let's see if she's been able to reach the necromancer just yet. I wanted to get a closer look at him. Says as he walks out here, there used to be a door here, but it appears to have been blown off of its hinges. Like the pieces of the door lay inside of this doorway here, blown off of its hinges from an obvious explosion of score marks mar the side of the building here. As he then makes his way over to the side of the necromancer. As the cleric over here still performing her rites, as she looks over and she says, Corporal, back to trying to study the necromancer again, even though I told you, milady, apologies, but the sergeant said I need to make note of everything. And even if I need to get close enough to observe him, whatever you do, because I will say it's acceptable in this case, but whatever you do, don't mess with the Necronomicon. Alright? I've put a ward up on there. Should be warning enough. Understood, milady. I'll keep my distance. While not keeping my distance, if that makes any sense. She kind of just stands there, like holding her hands out, as like one eyebrow's raised above the other, just a look of confusion, as the corporal says, "My apologies." He says he looks back down at the necromancer. He starts crouching, the metal in his armor making a slight groaning noise as he crouches down. So he gets down on one knee, keeping one leg out in front of him to balance the book on, and begin taking his notes as he looks down at this dead mage. It's interesting. Specifically, I didn't notice that earlier. What is that? He says as he looks at the, he seems to be pointing at the mage's forehead. There appears to be, let me describe to you, it appears to be a sigil with, hold on a second, let me pull this up real quick. Hang on, see if I can pull this up in a separate search here, just to make sure that I've got the understanding of the look correctly.
So while you're doing that, Aldyen, have you ever played Neverwinter Nights? Or Neverwinter Nights 2?
No.
So in Neverwinter Nights 2, there is an expansion called Mask of the Betrayer, and you go into the afterlife after that, and they reveal that anybody who is faithless has a special thing that happens to them, where they are all basically the souls of anybody who is faithless and doesn't have a god to claim them in the afterlife is made into a part of the wall that surrounds the City of Death.
Oh, that's interesting.
So as you look down at this this necromancer, you happen to see on his head, the corporal looks at him a little bit closely at his forehead as he sees this symbol of a hand, and in the midst of the palm is an eye. See, I don't exactly know what that is. That wasn't on his head earlier. See, you kind of see the nervousness on the corporal's face as he looks up at the cleric across the way. He says, "Milady, if you please, I need you to come over here."
Above the table, I've seen way too many horror movies that this is gonna be a problem.
No, couldn't be. No way.
No,
It's gonna be fine.
As
right.
she walks over here, she says, "What is it?" He says, "Milady, I made an observation here. There's a problem. A problem? Yes, something appeared on his forehead here. A new symbol. I remember I made an observation of him." She pauses for a moment as she looks at his forehead, and see her mouth just slightly ajar as she stares at him. Not at the corporal, but at the corpse on the ground. She reaches into her pouch, and she looks over at you, Aldyen, and hands you a bottle of holy water and says, "Hold this. And be prepared to use it, if need be."
Oh yeah.
This is not... No. Well, I can't say much of anything at all, Corporal. I hope that you understand, but this is definitely not an isolated case, and the symbol on this man's head is by no means ordinary. It's something very dark and sinister. I cannot... This whispered one that they speak of is by no means to be... She pauses for a moment. You're 100% positive it didn't appear on his forehead earlier, because I there's been so much happening. Yes, milady. It's the first time I've seen it. She says he flips back so many pages. You can see as he flips the book around, he made a fairly decent depiction of the mage on the ground, his hand on his chest, appearing to clutch something in it, which would be something that's wrapped around his neck, essentially, as his other hand is splayed out against the ground. That symbol that's on his head, it's this whispered one. They have a name. They're not whispered by any means, but I cannot utter his name, lest he afflict me, or attempt to, rather. Milady, do you know who it is? Let me see your journal. So he hands her the tome and the quill. She writes out on the page, slowly, piece by piece, as she then turns to you, Aldyen, and says, "Whatever you do, if you look at this on the page, don't even think about the name. All right?"
I better not read it then.
As she holds the book close to herself, she writes out in... she appears to slowly write, appears to be 5 letters onto the page, and then hands it back to the corporal over here, as he looks down at it and says, I think I've heard of that name before." And she says, "You think you've heard... Wait, Corporal, tell me you aren't thinking..." Immediately, a cold silence
Why would she
emanates.
write down the name and show it to him and then be like, "Don't think about this name"?
Well, she said not to even think about it, not to utter it.
Is this the bye-bye man?
Somebody didn't get the memo. But
Maleficent.
but as interestingly enough, so let me get this right here.
This corporal's off my Christmas card list this time.
As the corporal thinks about the name, I'm going to roll 4d6 here.
I was about to say, you might not have to worry about it on the Christmas list because he might just die just now.
No, he is heavily afflicted, 19 points of damage going towards him, but he's a fairly healthy man. You immediately, you see him drop the journal from his hands as he clutches the side of his head as the eyes of this necromancer bolt open. The necromancer then begins to hover as these 4 soldiers all around you begin to draw their blades, uncorking the holy water that they have at their sides and preparing for anything to happen. As this necromancer begins to hover and float before you. As the corporal, still clutching his head, collapses to the ground in a state of unconsciousness. As the cleric says, no, we must quickly. And immediately, before she could say anything, utter anything out of her mouth, the floating necromancer in front of her then opens his eyes, or specifically one eye, both of his eyes open, except one appears to be completely black. Like previously, both of his eyes were almost like slightly shut. They weren't completely shut. One of them appears to be entirely black, whereas the other one, it is pure white, but you see this smoky green noxious smoke coming from it. And as he looks out at you, he looks first at the corporal and says, "Insignificant insect." As
What did you say?
says, "Insignificant insect." As he looks at the corporal and then looks over at the cleric, as he says, "My efforts here, my efforts there have not gone unnoticed, have they? There will be a day and a time, this not because of this plague, but because of a forgotten son, that this kingdom will meet its untimely demise. One day, you will see. I will no longer be whispered amongst people, but spoken in truth. This shining and radiant kingdom will be mine." As he finishes his statement, one of these soldiers comes running forth, like basically moving the unconscious corporal aside. He's kind of slumped over on himself, just kind of like pushing him aside as he runs forth to the necromancer, blade coated in holy water, as he runs his blade through his chest, and he goes, "Die, villain!" Immediately as he yells that, the basically puppeteered corpse in front of him laughs. And immediately the necromancer's head reels backward as he collapses off of the soldier's blade onto the ground. As this happens, the sergeant, hearing this commotion, this voice, which actually, to describe this, the voice almost sounded like it was not simply being heard around you, like an audible noise, not like the wind like moving through the trees, or not like waves crashing against the shore. It sounded like it was echoing in your mind. And immediately the sergeant comes running, clutching his head as he goes, What in the world has happened? What in the Radiant City is going on here?
The lovely cleric here wrote down the name of some ancient person and said, don't think about this name, and then the corporal that you had me following behind decided to look at the page, think about the name, and then the necromancer stood up, and then one of your other privates came over and stabbed him with a sword, and he died. That's about all that happened.
Aye, Sergeant. I ran him through, but he kept talking. You see the sergeant kind of just look.
He's probably not dead.
Look over at you, then look over at the newly corpsed corpse on the ground, and then over at the private who is cleaning his blade. But as you notice, as he's cleaning his blade, he's not cleaning off red blood. He's cleaning off like a black kind of ooze off of it. Aye. Milady. Yes, Sergeant? Is this true? Why would you do such a thing? I was merely trying to put it down for record purposes, so that people can understand what we're dealing with here. This whispered one is not so whispered. They're... How can I put this? Trying to keep the even thought or mention of that name out of my mind. The capital needs to know. The chancellery needs to know. The general needs to know, as well as His Majesty. What we're dealing with is not a one-off cult. What we're dealing with is something that reaches far beyond our own barriers, far beyond our own kingdom, into planes unseen by your eye and even my own. So, this is not simply a case of a madman seeking to control a village. No isolated incident. No, it's not. See the sergeant kind of just like run his hands through his hair as he goes. He first takes off his helm, puts it underneath his left arm. As he runs his hand through his hair, it just goes... I thought this was going to be so much easier. So much easier after all the days, but... it's never that easy. Private Aldyen, what did you find before the corporal committed an act of stupidity?
In that building that you had us checking out, there was to be some sort of circle with summoning symbols, and it was inscribed in blood.
Blood, you say? This just gets far and far more drastic as he turns to the cleric. He says, "Do you have any insight into this, milady? You're one of the experts." First, I'd have to look at the sigils. Just to get further... Well, just looking at the symbol on this man's head, I already have some confirmation as to what exactly it is, from what he's describing. If I were to get an actual look at the circle itself and the sigils, I could better tell you as to what exactly its intent and purpose was. Well, I don't entirely imagine that we need to look too deeply into this circle if we're to wonder what as he spreads his arms out looking from side to side, what exactly the intended results were. Our people are dead. They submitted themselves to this physician, this false physician, in order to try and get some understanding, some measure of hope away from the plague. Milady, do what you must, but know this. I understand that you had your own qualms about leaving this man, as he points to the necromancer, his body intact. But we need to bring him back to the capital. You bring him back to the capital, and you're condemning everyone there. For this man here serves not a whispered one, though people may whisper about them in good faith because they believe in this particular figure. But if we bring them into the city, it's a threat to everyone. I mean, a corpse just came back to life. And by no good means either. I see. All right. Continue performing the rites for the rest of these men. Aldyen. Private Aldyen.
Yes, sir. Yes, Sergeant.
You see his eyebrow slightly twitch a little bit as he puts his helmet back on, like securing it onto his head. So he goes, I want you, and as he points over to the soldier adjacent to you, I want you and Private Nielsen to take this necromancer back to the front of the village, where Dawes is standing guard. There's a cart we can set the body in. I don't like him being around these other corpses, especially after what just happened.
With respect, sir, should we not just burn the necromancer?
As he takes a step forward and holds his fist out, he says, we need to take him back to the city. We need to take him back for further examination. I understand what this friendly cleric is saying. And immediately she says, you need to take my words and, milady, continue performing the rites. Purify the rest of the corpses and do your job. I'm doing mine. See the rest of the soldier.
I have a question above the table.
Okay.
Because if this ended up turning into a combat with the necromancer, I did have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Could I effectively drink the holy water and then use my breath attack and maybe breathe temporarily holy fire?
Hit that Triple H. Holy water.
Hold on, wait. You mean like this right here? Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, man, he's gonna hit the hunter herself, Leon.
Oh my gosh.
Some poor necromancer.
And so in order to it's kind of like people trying to reflavor spells and whatnot. Although I wouldn't know how to do that with a breath attack. It's something that's innate. I mean,
I wouldn't. Like I said, I wouldn't say that this would be like a permanent thing, but maybe just like a once if I ever got a hold of holy water and maybe do like 1d4
so
extra.
considering considering the fact,
just have it take his breath attack and just have the damage be changed to radiant because he's like channeling his breath through the holy water.
So
have it
if
also maybe
it,
take his bonus action too for drinking it.
so if the holy water, which holy water is literally just water that's been blessed, if it were anything like I don't know, like alcoholic substance that could basically like project more flame, or something like kerosene or something like that could essentially enhance flame, I would understand it maybe changing the properties or increasing the density, like the rather not the density, the intensity of the attack. But because it is just water, it would burn up and vaporize in the fire.
How much would I want to follow this guy's order of taking a necromancer's body back to the city, where it could potentially, like, do more damage? Like, I like my character at this point in time does not believe in gods or magic really, but then maybe now that has been kind of shaken now that he's watched a necromancer come back from the dead. How likely would I want to follow this sergeant's orders? I mean, my character does leave the military at some point. Is this the catalyst that made me get kicked out of the military? Because I am all for just burning this body right in front of my sergeant.
I would say that this is a keystone type moment in your military career. Previously, you'd been deployed to outposts along the borders of the kingdom. You'd been deployed to a garrison securing the southern reaches of it along the river. Or along the river that borders the kingdom. This would be a moment right here, looking at the shift in leadership that this plague has brought upon the land, killing off some of the more effective people and even ineffective people, but leaving others with a sense of desperation to try to get to the answer or the source of this illness by any means necessary. So that would truly be a decision up to you, because the sergeant's staring you down with a pointed finger. And as he utters Dawes' name, Dawes would actually leave his position, go over here. He would summon one of the other soldiers to take up his post, as he would come rushing in over here, as he says... He says, I heard my name, Sergeant, as the sergeant immediately says, Dawes, what are you doing over here? I may have said your name, but I didn't summon you over here, you idiot. Get back to your post, get back to your position. You have to be watching the road. Sergeant, I already have somebody. Get back to your position. Now. He immediately steps around the fountain over here as he walks over to Dawes, just quickly making his way around. As this other private, he steps out of the way immediately as the sergeant makes his way around. And he says, "Get back to your post now." Aye, Sergeant. I will. My apologies. Your apologies will be given once we leave this dreaded village. Do it now.
Sergeant, with all due respect, I really must protest. I do not think that we need to be taking this body back with us.
Immediately looks to Dawes, points back towards the road. Dawes immediately goes back about so many steps, but he kind of like stops right here. So he looks back at you and sees the sergeant slowly make his way step by step as he walks now beside you and says, "You protest."
I do.
On what grounds, Private Aldyen?
This thing just unleashed hell upon this entire village, nearly destroying it and us with it. And you want to take it back to the city where it could do even more damage.
The cleric immediately speaks up and says, "Please, Sergeant, hear what not just I'm saying, but your own men." We need to get to the source of this. We need to get to the bottom of this. Immediately.
And you think studying a corpse that can randomly come back to life is going to magically bring you the answers? Sergeant, this isn't the way to find the answers. You want to find answers, we need to look at the bigger picture. Stop focusing in on this one corpse.
Before you can, as you blink, his hand moves from his side, grappling the front of like the metal collar of your armor, pulling your face closer to his, as he looks you in the eyes and says, "Private Aldyen, may I have an audience with you and the lady cleric here?" As he then turns to the private to the left of him and he says, "You, help the corporal up, all right? Lean him against that building right there. Make sure he's not lying simply on the ground so he's not drowning in his own drool. So for the both of you, I need you to follow me. All right? Let's meet over there by that well." He says as he makes his way around, moving about as the private moves the corporal up here towards the building as... but they... Whoop! Oh, okay. Shall we dance?
Yes.
As this... as he steps over here, silence fills the air as you can hear the wind moving against the wind moving against the now dead trees that are surrounding you. As he pauses for a moment, looks at you, Aldyen, and says, "The king wants answers. This plague," as he says, he looks over at the rest. You see him not even move his head, but he looks off to the rest of the soldiers as he lowers his voice and says, "This stays confidential, but and I know you've made your presence known here, you and Dawes, Aldyen. Both very resilient in the battle. So I will give you some measure of... how can I put this? Not leeway, but brevity, I think is the word. The king has been looking, and command has suggested, as well as the chancellery, he says as he looks over to the cleric, as well as the chancellery, that there is a possible link to this cult and the plague that is going about the land. Something that you don't seem to address, milady, he says as he looks over to the cleric. That's purely because we didn't consider the two to be connected at any point in time. The plague spread into villages where the cult wasn't even at. Then the occult later appears in these villages that have been afflicted by the plague, and in some cases in villages that weren't even affected by the plague. Maybe some people stepping in to become saviors, maybe some people or maybe people trying to deal with the unbearable disease that they unleashed upon our people. So he now looks from the cleric over to you, Aldyen, as he says, so I hear your protest. But with this information, we need to bring him back to the capital with us for further examination. There, The Chancellery has offered to give us better insight, to work hand in hand with their army. We can stop this disease, and we can stop this cult. What just happened should be more than sufficient grounds to squash your protest. Is that understood, Private Aldyen?
What happened here wasn't a plague. What happened here was a madman who had too much power and unleashed something that nearly killed all of us. This isn't a plague. This isn't a game. You're betting with people's lives, Sergeant. Are you willing to have their blood on your hands over some opinions of a commandant who wants to study a corpse that could potentially reanimate and then cause more destruction than we've seen here on scales that would dwarf this?
Aldyen, give me persuasion.
Persuasion. Yeah.
On a 14, as this is going to be with a +1 right here. This is behind the screen, so that was a 3. The sergeant then looks over at the cleric right next to you, and then over to you, as he's then looks over to the piles of undead over here, not including the outskirts of town, where there are a few other men watching over it, but a cart that is currently filled with 10 of your fellow soldiers, all who perished in the battle for taking this small village. The sergeant then looks over to the left, not even looking into anyone's eyes in particular, as he then says, "These desperate times are not simply the times that try men's souls. I am a soldier, and I'm given orders. Orders that I cannot refuse. I see your words, Aldyen. I see your words, milady. But the Chancellery, I know, is curious about this. And yes, the Chancellery is curious about this. We want to get to the bottom of the matter. But at least I, don't associate these necromancers, this cult with this plague that has been unleashed upon us. I think they're different. That they might not even be linked. Please." As she reaches up, and she's a little bit shorter than you, quite a bit shorter actually. She reaches up and puts a hand on your shoulder, Aldyen, as she says, "Take his word for it. And not just his, but my own as well. I mean, we just witnessed the hand of a vile being that seeks after life and knowledge and everything in between. And we must reject this monster. So what do? We get rid of any pieces he has on the board. Any and all. Sergeant pauses for a moment as I will... So he looks over at you, Aldyen. He reaches down to his side, and right behind a water skin, you happen to see him pull this metal canteen out, this small metal canteen, as he hands it to you. Aldyen, since you feel so convicted to do so, inside that canteen is my own personal stash, if you will, from home. From what I remember exactly what I saw in training, or at least from one particular night with you and Dawes coming back from the tavern, which I told you to not to. From what I can understand, you could use a fire breath, similar to that of a, as he spreads his arms out like a dragon of yore. Yes?
That is correct, sir. Sergeant.
You see his eye, like his right eye twitch, like his eyebrow twitch.
That's just me IRL. That's just the way that I am.
his right eyebrow just twitches as he goes, He then cups his hands around his mouth as he says, "Private, I want you to move the recently deceased away from the culprit, this entire attack. Is that understood? Move them away from the center. Aldyen?"
Understood.
"I want you to use that. Completely burn him away. Because I don't want anything left behind for the people that want to establish a garrison here. If anything at all is left behind, it would spell trouble for me, spell trouble for you." So he looks over to the cleric and she says, "You have no worries or any qualms for me. All necromancers deserve nothing but death. Rather, a more permanent one," she says as she turns to Aldyen, patting her hand on your shoulder as she takes her steps over here as the soldiers slowly, one by one, begin moving the bodies away. The sergeant then instructs the men to move away from the center of the square here. As he observes from a distance.
Can I ask the cleric to bless the alcohol?
She immediately says, "Well." She kind of just presses her hands together and says, "Divine Father, bless this substance to unleash righteous fury upon an enemy of yours. In this moment, give this warrior the strength, power, fortitude to unleash a fire of mighty proportions, to burn away heresy, to burn away evil in stride." As she puts her hand on the container, you see a glow not reflective of the metal of the container immediately shine over it and quickly dim out as she says, "Fire away."
Right. I drink, or I don't drink, but I hold some of it into my mouth, and then some in my fire breath as I breathe fire over the necromancer's body.
All right, so you fire this fire breath straight from you. You fire with this enhanced substance. Let's see. I'll need you to give me a straight up just strength check to see how much you're putting into this, and you'll be rolling with advantage.
Lovely. Love that for me.
So as you take in this deep breath into your lungs with a 22, just like, and unlike a breath that you've breathed before, you actually managed to singe the fountain as well as this fire is just unleashed on this massive cone, coating the fountain, catching it in flames, as some of the soldiers off to the sides are just like, ooh, ah. As they're actually happy to see fire right now instead of what happened earlier. Just and this guy is completely just like this. He is completely. Hold on a second. Let me give a little bit of a wait. Let me see. Have it free hand tool. Okay, kind of like there. He is just a scorch mark on the ground, like just gone, burned away. In this moment, as you burn this corpse away.
That'll be a neat little trick to hold on to for later.
Mm-hmm. So, what ended up happening...
I expected halfway through her prayer for you to go, all right, that's enough, and then do it.
Well, so, like, for me, headcanon-wise, like, what I've now just witnessed is, like, the start of the catalyst of, maybe gods do exist. Maybe I should give this a little bit more thought.
So
maybe the 75 other times I saw magic weren't just a coincidence.
So we will...
Maybe it wasn't all smoke and mirrors.
We will find out what the results of this were... Basically, the results of this was in a later session at some point in time. But for now... this will stay in your memory as this cultist was burned away in the flame and the fire. As you saw his body burned away, you happened to see, oddly enough, as the body was being burned, a slight smile forming on its face as it was completely charred away. Muscle, sinew, skin burned away, and bone into the ground, now looking like yet another one of the necromancer's attacks that he had hurled at the rest of you. And immediately as the cleric would come over here and tend to this now fully conscious corporal on the ground, she would then, the corporal would then sit up and say, what happened? It's all right. That mage tried to rise and attack us again. Sergeant walks over, pats you on the shoulder, Aldyen, as he walks over to the corporal and says, I want you to write this in the record. The necromancer did attempt to attack us. The necromancer brought this upon the town. And I summoned Private Aldyen to do away with him. As he says, wait. Scratch that from the record. Sergeant. Note this. I gave the order for him to burn the mage. Put my name on the record.
You don't need to take the fall for this. This was my doing.
So then pauses and turns to you, Aldyen, and he says, It was, but you are under my command. And anyone who is in a position of leadership has complete and utter, not just management of their decisions, but ownership of their decisions. As he reaches out and puts a hand on your shoulder, he says, one day, you too will understand this. And as he says that, we then move away from this memory here in the past, away from this village, as the world comes back into pictures here as let me play this here. So we now move on to our friendly Knight Paladin. So a memory of a village past destroyed, done and gone away with. And a decision that lingers in the mind of a resident Dragonborn. As, let me see here, I think this would be fairly fitting. As, let me actually change this up a little bit here. Change the lighting on it. All these have dynamic lighting on them. So I have to adjust that to make it, there we go, visible. Alright, so, as we then have a turning of the page here, we'll be dropping in, let me see, Gvidas. Alright, so Gvidas.
Wow, it's me.
Yes, you.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that guy.
You are currently back home at your family's farm. So I will summon in your parents here.
Look, there's my parents.
Hold on. I'm trying to find the... Great, no. Look here.
I'll be right back.
Alright. So try to find... Let's see, somebody looks very dad-like.
Somebody who looks very dead.
I tried to find somebody very, very dad-like. As, oh yes, here we go. Here we go. Yes, very dad-like.
Is this post-enlistment, but on a trip back, or pre-enlistment?
This is post-enlistment.
Okay.
So to set what's happening here, this is after Mithranor. This is after you have left Mithranor, and this is actually after you had proposed to a certain half-elf. Of course, all of this had happened. You had been away, so to give a little bit of an understanding here, you had been away from home for quite some time. And this all had happened while you were still far away from home. Just like you're your own man, you know, your family's, you know, elsewhere, out in the world. And now you're coming back home, and it almost feels somewhat alien. Different.
Is there any particular reason why I've come home?
Specifically because you are going to be sent out on a long-form deployment out west. So this is prior to the march.
Just before the trip to Baldur's Gate.
No, this is before that. This is before you guys were marched out to El Terrell.
Okay, yeah, that's right. It was to El Terrell at first, and then it was shifted over to Baldur's Gate. That's right. Okay, so he's about what, like? Gvidas is 21 in the present day, so he's probably about like what, 19 here.
Yep. About. Because it took some time for the march to complete.
Yeah, and then I think they were there for a year before the events of the campaign started.
Indubitably.
So what has Gvidas been told about his upcoming deployment? Has he just been given the basic briefing of that they're all getting sent out to El Terrell?
Basically, you were receiving the gist that you're having to go halfway across the continent to help out people you've never met, people you've never heard of, and a city you've never been to. And you were actually dropped off. Let me find Let's see, where's my bucket of good guys here? So I pull out a knight paladin has traveled with you. As he's actually turns to you, and he's manning a cart, like a horse and cart. So in other words, he's dropping off here, almost like old military style. They would drop off like people had returned home from a war or battle.
Yeah.
Essentially dropping you off here on horse and cart. Just a not nameless, but not really known to you, paladin. He's from a different part of your order, who's been serving elsewhere. In other words, you never met him before.
Yeah.
Basically, drops you off here and says, "Don't take too long, paladin. We have to make way for El Torel. Now march very soon. We need to meet up with the others. I'll be in town." He says, "This is your stop."
So I am just, am I just stopping by, or is it like I'm staying for the evening and I'm reporting back in the morning?
You are, a paladin would turn to you and say, "Spend the night, say goodbye. You may not see them for a while. I'll be in town. I'll come back for you in the morning with the others."
Okay. See you tomorrow, Paladin.
So he says, "Well, get out of the cart first."
I'm working on it. Then Gvidas hops down off the cart, nods at the Paladin, and he looks towards the... I assume these are low walls. They're like in Ireland, they have those
Yes.
like chest high walls. Yeah.
Mhm.
Alright, awesome. And so he sees his mother at the well, and he stands there. It's probably been about 3 years since he's been home, at least. I would think. And he looks at to the left of him, at the small garden.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at the grass, and he steps forward, and he reaches down and he runs his fingers through the grass, thinking about how his entire life this place had been home till he had enlisted, and now it's just as foreign as every other place he goes to. And after that thought works his way through his head, he makes his way towards the gate, and he leans over it before opening and waves towards his mother.
She's
What time of day is it?
It is, it appears to be almost midday. As she is reaching, she appears to be drawing water with a bucket as she sets it off to the side, off to one side here. She has another bucket in her other hand.
He's gonna wave his hand, and with a little bit of mischief in his voice, he's going to yell out, "Afternoon, madam."
Immediately, she says, "Oh, hello, afternoon." She immediately turns with a bucket in hand. She's just drawn the water, and she immediately goes, "Gvidas!" It's immediately just like she throws the bucket up into the air, completely forgetting it. She had watered it and everything, and just like she tosses it, almost trying to toss it behind her, but she lets go of the grip. The water goes flying up into the air, drops all over. The bucket bounces off of her head. She goes, "Ah, ow, ow, ow."
Come on, don't hurt yourself. And Gvidas opens the gate, and he comes in, and he immediately checks her head to make sure that she didn't cut herself open. It's not bruising or swelling.
No, oh, goodness me, I didn't even. You rascal! She immediately reaches out and just like pinches your cheek. It's just like, Why do you have to be so ridiculous sometimes? Especially coming back after so long.
What do you mean? I only found it fitting. Where's Dad?
Oh, he's over there in the shed. Currently.
If you think I got you good, wait till you see how he reacts.
I would be careful.
With a like a wolf smile, Gvidas makes his way over towards. I assume this is some sort of work shed.
Yes. And storage.
What are Gvidas's parents' names?
Gvidas' parents' names. So, one
Gvidas.
would be
Mr. and Mrs. Silsus.
one would be father would be hold on, I'm trying to think right here. Ooh, hang on. Father.
God Crimson randomly generating names.
His father would be.
I used a Latvia name generator.
Name is Frank.
No, no. His name will be. I'm trying to think. Similar name. Ooh. No. Ah. Dang. It's just like I just thinking like possibilities.
While you think of that, I have a way to work around it at least for now. So Gvidas is going to, with a heavy hand, bang his hand on the door and say. He's going to call out to him from behind the door in a slightly deeper tone than he normally speaks in.
Okay.
Mr. Silsus, there's important news from the order.
Give me a deception or performance check to see if you're able to deceive him. I'll say that the DC is a DC to 12.
All right, or perform. They're both the same, so I'm gonna go with this one. 18.
With
baby!
deception, immediately you would hear from inside the shed. Oh, hold on. I'll be right there. Just give me a moment. As he walks over to the door and he says, "From the order. Whose order?" As he turns the knob, pulls it open, he looks up at you and he says, and he closes the door for a moment.
The moment he closes the door, he's going to look back at his mom with like holding back audible laughter, and then look back forward at the door.
And she immediately she's got a little bit of a smile on her face. She has her arms folded in front of her as he throws open the door again, and he actually runs at you and wraps his arms around you and says, "Gvidas, or boy."
Good to see you, Dad.
Good to see you too. Good to see you too.
How have you both been? Well?
Trying to, at least. This past winter, I caught a fierce cough, but the local cleric was able to help.
Glad to hear it. I assumed there'd been nothing to... I know you would have written if you needed help.
Absolutely. As I can understand, you've ascended your way up the ranks. I've been trying to keep up.
There's been a lot. It's not been boring, that's for sure.
Boring. Well, you should. You know what? You should tell us. You should definitely tell us. Hold on a second. As he steps out beside you, just like turning you, like putting his hand on one of your shoulders and turning you as he goes. And he says, "Marion." As she immediately kind of just like giggles behind her hands, and he says, "Did you put him up to this?" And she says, "No. He is your son. Well, he's our son." Please. Well, he takes after your own humor. I don't exactly take to his brand of humor or yours own either. Oh.
She almost knocked herself out with the water bucket when I came up to the gate.
Oh, is that true? Yeah, you got a little bit of a goose egg up there, hon. And immediately, your mom would huff as she'd say, no. And she puts her hand on her head. She's like, okay, maybe just a little bit, but it'll be fine. It'll go away. Maybe it'll go away. Maybe it might be an improvement. He says he turns to Gvidas. And Marion, she puts her hands on her mouth. She says, Rius. And immediately he goes, what? And she says, ugh. First you, and then you pass it on to him, and then he learns from you, and she just mutters to herself. She walks over here. She's kind of distraught. She picks up the only bucket full of water and just marches inside, sloshing it from side to side. Whoa, hello. Wait,
Oh, no.
She marches inside with the bucket and brings it inside as your father, Rius, would then turn to you as he says, so, as he pats you on the shoulder, gotta tell me, what exactly have you been up to this whole time? How did everything go with, how did everything go with Mitranor?
Gvidas, definitely the smile wipes from his face very swiftly when he asks that question. He kind of stammers for a second before saying, probably as well as it could have.
As well as it could have? What's that supposed to mean?
It's crisis response. I mean, if things could go as well as they could have, there would be no crisis. If things were better than they were, they wouldn't need a response.
I see. See, the only news that we received in town was, Elminster was there. Supposedly saved the city.
Supposedly so.
Aye, yeah, indeed. Hero of...
These wizards weren't fighting with power so far beyond the average duel of sword, there would not be such disasters.
Maybe. Just maybe. Or maybe if we didn't have people such as Ball or Merkel or Bane or any of the other fiends of the realms committing their atrocities as well, we can't just simply attribute it to the stupidity of humans. Or other people. But
it always makes you wonder, there has to be some sort of common connection. There has to be some, I don't know, like, ideal that all those horrible things draw from.
You know, I remember something
Enough of that.
Oh? Oh, no.
Enough of that. Let's just go inside.
Okay, if you insist. Just, hold on a second, let me get something from the shed. I'll be right back. So he walks back inside, you hear some fumbling around, some, like, metal, like, clinking, just like a few things falling over, as he says, it's alright, hold on, I'll put that back. So he sets something back on the counter, walks back out the door with the small crate in hand, as he says, alright, come on. Let's go over here. Your mother should... No, it's not that heavy. I was actually getting something special for... it's a... I don't know if you remember the... he says as he holds the small crate underneath one of his arms as he snaps his fingers, trying to, like... hold on. It was... oh, your mother knows their name better. Oh, yes. Down the street. You remember the young man that you used to play games with.
I think.
What was his name?
About?
What was his name? Hang on.
Wait. Is it D name?
Yes, it's a D name. Dyston. Dyston, yes, Dyston. From down the street.
I feel so dumb for forgetting Dyston.
No. It's all right. It's
It's been a while.
Yes. I was putting something together, using some of my skills, my handiwork, to put something, to put something together for him, and I don't know if you knew about it, but he and his wife are expecting their first child.
Oh. Is it? Who is she?
Who is she?
Who did you get married to?
So, as he points his finger and pokes you in the chest, he says, "You know that one girl that I told you if you let her slip through your fingers, she will, and somebody else is gonna catch her." Well, guess who caught her? Dyston.
In all honesty, he was always a better fisher than me.
I wouldn't say fisher. He was a little bit better with speech.
What? You saying I can't talk?
I'm not saying that you can't talk. I'm just saying that sometimes you're not very convincing. I mean, you take after me.
Oh. That worked out all right for you.
Listen, the reason why she fell for me is because I had a farm.
No, it has to be more than that.
You know women, they want a farm, they want chickens, they want to make sourdough.
Come on, let's be honest. If she just wanted the farm, you wouldn't have gotten better this winter, would you?
Immediately, he pauses for a moment as he starts snickering. He's like, oh, no. You remember why me and your mother met? Or how we met? There was a war in the neighboring kingdom. And I was one of the bold foreign volunteers that decided to help. So, we helped save we saved a small town from being burned down by the rebels. And she was one of the... Interesting enough, she was one of the people helping try to put men back together who had been torn apart by blade and spell. Well, I was torn apart a little bit. Not a whole lot. I had an arrow in the side of my chest. And she pulled it out. And it hurt. It hurt a lot. Oh, hurt quite a bit. But having her...
I can imagine.
Look over me with a beautiful smile. I told myself, man. As he reaches out, he puts a hand on your shoulder. We're gonna have one handsome kid.
So when did you start bragging to her about the farm then, if that's what she wanted?
Oh, well.
You got her.
There wasn't a farm yet. I used all the money that I had from my soldiering days in order to put this together, this little plot of land. And I told her, well, there's a promise of a place. There will be a place, eventually. Just gotta build it. Here we are.
Home is what you make, huh?
Indeed. Sometimes where you put your feet up, sometimes where you lay your head. When
Let's
we
get that box inside. I'm sure your shoulders are getting tired.
My shoulder's getting tired. Immediately, you see him take a few steps forward, and he starts scuffing, like sliding his feet on the ground. As you hear a noise come from his mouth as he leans down. He's like, "Oh no, my back, my aching back. Oh no, my aching back. Sorry, I think I need my cane." As he pushes open the door, as it's still slightly like ajar, he says, "Marion, oh, I broke my back again." Oh, and immediately Marion says, she doesn't say anything, she just rolls her eyes as he comes walking inside. And he says, "So, what are we going to be having for lunch today?" As she says, "Cabbage stew." "Ooh, cabbage stew? With what?" "Cabbage. And what else?"
Stew, I bet.
Yo, cabbage stew sounds so lit right now.
As she
No salt.
walks
No
over,
pepper.
she walks over here.
Cabbage and water.
She walks over here. The bucket that she had drawn earlier, now bubbling inside of this pot, or starting to steam a little bit from the pot that's over this fire. As she walks back over and says, "And it's also going to be served with some lamb." "Yes, lamb. Got it from the farmer's market downtown." As he says, he kind of just like tries to whisper it to you.
Are the prices good there?
"Are the prices good?" "Didn't you have to pay them at least, I don't know, 10 silver? Well, 10 silver. It was good lamb. It was good lamb." "Uh-huh. You had to choose the one with a good bit of fat on it, didn't you?" "Hey, how am I supposed to maintain this girlish figure?" he says as he pats his belly.
Well, I mean, maybe he had the feeling that, his growing boy would be coming back in town.
See what I... See, he puts his arm around your shoulder after... He sets the crate on this countertop over here. As he reaches over your shoulder, he says, like, "See? Great minds think alike." As...
And Gvidas is going to pat his not-so-magnificent or bulbous belly.
As Marion would say, "You two are unbelievable. Inseparable, too." "Inseparable indeed." "Indeed, yes. But, while we're waiting on the stew to be ready, did you already put the lamb in?" "Yes, I already did. I had it seasoned and everything. I had it sitting for days in the seasoning." "Ooh. See, Gvidas, my boy, I've learned the art of smoking.
Oh?
And not smoking like that old man downtown. Remember the store? He would sit outside with that long pipe, just puffing and huffing away like a chimney. Not like that. But I found out how to smoke meats. You see, of course I've had to patch it over, because we did have a little bit of an incident where it did catch some of the area around it on fire. I didn't secure it well enough. We had to draw some water, put it out, and unfortunately doused the chicken that we had for that day. But you still ate it. But I still ate it. It was good. Yes, I've learned the art of smoking. But anyways, enough about me and my own exploits. Come, he says as he pats his hand on the table over here. As he points to this seat, he says, please, have a seat as we wait on this stew."
Gvidas is going to sit down.
All right, so I heard the sound of... I believe I heard the sound of horses' hooves from outside. So, where's the horse?
Well, the Knight Paladin who dropped me off himself had to go into town. I am just stopping by for the day. Permission to spend the night, and then tomorrow, and report back to him. We are going west for a while.
I see. Going west? How far west?
You heard of El Tyrell?
It's gonna be
I
roll.
know I hadn't before he told me.
He would know of El Tyrell, immediately turn to you and say, that's far west of here. That's a little bit closer to the Sword Coast.
Much closer, actually.
Huh.
I think it's something like 2 days, at least, way less than a week's travel from Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate, goodness me, it's been a while since I've even heard that name. Why are you guys going out that way? What's the point? Thought El Tyrell's some sort of holy city.
So was Gvidas given the immediate briefing on the disaster that happened at El Tyrell? Or
Yes.
does he just know that it's some sort of... so this wasn't of Avernus, was it? Avernus
No.
was Baldur's Gate proper.
Yes.
The disaster that happened at El Tyrell was regarding the warlords in the forest, right?
No. This
a long
is...
time since we talked about it.
So, essentially you guys are going to be marching out there because of a rash of illnesses that have broken out across El Tyrell. Unexplained, not any understanding as to the reason why that's happening. Because this takes place well before Descent to Avernus, which Descent to Avernus literally takes place, or rather the ending of it takes place immediately before the beginning of Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, that's right. And then Baldur's Gate 3 basically happens while we're there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why essentially our mission is extended into Baldur's Gate.
Oh no,
then
it happens a year after Baldur's Gate. So basically, the end of Baldur's Gate 3, the end credits, not scene, but where you meet up with all your compatriots that survived depending on your choices, that's 6 months afterwards. So another 6 months after that point is when this campaign began.
Yes, but obviously the travel was pretty far.
Yeah.
And beforehand, he was there for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trying to rework the... So how long before the campaign started did Gvidas arrive in the gate? Because obviously they went there for El Tyrell.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the stuff with the Cult of the Absolute happened in the gate.
So yeah, you guys would be stationed in El Tyrell to make sure that nothing would spread any further east, or that any attempt to try and take El Tyrell would be prevented. So you guys were stationed not too far away at a fortress known as Fort Morninglord, which you shared with another order of paladins that had previously established themselves there, called the Order, or the Brotherhood of the Gilded Lion.
And that's Tyr, right? Is the Brotherhood of the Gilded Lion, they're the paladins of Tyr, was it?
That you'll have to find out.
Okay. All right. So, the over the table discussion, we'll finish it. Back as Gvidas. Gvidas is going to say, I really don't know what it means, but there's been some kind of rash or small outbreak of diseases in El Tyrell. For whatever reason, the Order was contacted about aiding. I mean, personally, I don't know why they didn't contact anybody out there. It must be pretty serious or have some other circumstances surrounding it that warrant it. But the orders deemed it reasonable. So, that way we go.
I see. Immediately, Marion, she's looking over to him and then over to you. She says, so you're going to be running into this foreign city with a plague, disparaging it?
Yeah.
Goodness me. From everything that I heard that happened elsewhere, like Mithranor, I was so worried.
If you had seen what the clerics can cure, you would not have any worry.
Truly, they must be more powerful than the herbalist downtown. Or at least the new herbalist that's moved in.
Oh, definitely.
Immediately, Raios, your father, would then say, Marion, my dear, you must understand. These people serve the Wounded One. These people serve Ilmater. Our son does. And for those...
This is going to nod as he speaks.
And, well... From what I can understand, they seek to help those that are afflicted, those that are hurting and the destitute. Been learning more and more, as he turns to you, Gvidas, I've been learning more and more from the priest. A few towns over. Been visiting with him. He's a nice man, very kindly gentleman. Always wears these red cords around his wrist.
What have you been visiting him for?
Pauses for a moment as he looks over to Marion. Just worried in general about you, son. Everything that we heard about Mithranor, I didn't go into further detail about it, but Marion told me more. She and the women, I don't know how they pass this information across, but somehow they do. Somehow it's more effective than any usage of the weave. Anyway, she told me that an entire city had been dropped on Mithranor. And with you heading there in response to it, with everything being handled, I didn't know if you'd be in a combat type role, or if you're having to fight things, or if you're having to... We were worried. I mean, after all, you're your only child.
Well, there wasn't much for fighting.
I see.
By the time we had gotten there, all of that had been handled.
I see.
There really wasn't even anything to loot, either. City gets dropped on another city. There's less goods and items to be taken from the rubble. Anything else. Really, what more it was healthcare and relocation assistance.
I see. Immediately, Marion, as she walks back to the table and says, it's almost boiling now. But, if you did encounter some means of helping people, I'm pretty sure that there were some women there, too. She immediately says with a slight smile on her face.
Oh, you seem to be saying that out of some sort of experience, huh?
And she then looks over at Raios. He then turns to her and says, Well, there's another reason why we were praying for you, son. Just specifically, not just running out into danger, but we understand that, well, he tries to form the words, but Marion beats him to it. There are men and women who are affected by this. So, did you meet anybody? And she puts her hands out on the table, like putting her hands over yours, and she says, did you find somebody? Did you meet somebody? And immediately Rios is just like, Marion, calm yourself, please. I'm sorry, I just want to know.
Well,
Woman, contain yourself. So, son, did you find somebody?
It's the airplane bit. Get a hold of yourself. No, you can't do that. Get a hold of yourself.
Or no, I think of the meme, instead of "Are you winning, son?" It's like, "Are you dating, son?"
Are you dating, son? Well.
Immediately, Marion's eyes just like open up extra wide as you say, well, immediately. Don't even say no at first. And Ryus looks over at her, then looks over at you, is just like, kind of just surprised.
Well, you meet many people when you are far from home.
Immediately, Ryus would whistle as Marion says, oh my goodness.
And I am engaged.
And she says, oh, what? She immediately gets up and she starts she starts running around the table over here to you and just hugs you as Ryus comes along the other side and just like not daps you up, but just like basically like basically like his hand, he extends it out like almost at a reflex, like father son, just like acknowledgement as he reaches out and says, that's my boy.
It's this in general.
Let me see. Hold on. Yes. That's my boy.
That's my boy.
That's my son.
That's my son.
That's my son.
This man is a father now.
He's a father.
He breaks a bottle against the ground and yells, "Scatter!"
Yes, like, that's my son, that's my boy. And she immediately, your mom, she just like, she starts tearing up again and just emotional. She's just like, so tell me, who is she? What is she like? Where does she come from? Is she taller than you? Is she shorter than you? And immediately, Ryus, he reaches across you and says, my dear, calm yourself. He will tell us, more than likely, if you take a seat. Okay. And she immediately pulls over here and takes a seat. And immediately, she says, I thought when you said meet many people, I almost thought, oh, goodness me, don't tell you've become a ruffian. But immediately Ryus would say, well, if he had become a ruffian, he would have more than likely brought a horde of children with him. And immediately she said, yes, I mean, no, goodness no. I mean, well, children, yes, but not that way. And immediately, she reaches over and lightly shoves Ryus. He says, anyways, go ahead, son. Tell us, who is she?
Well, on her height. When we met, we were the same height, but now not so much.
Oh?
She's a bit shorter than me.
Oh, okay.
And her name is Serena.
Oh, very pretty. Very regal.
She is a half-elf.
Immediately,
And
Immediately, Marian's like slaps her hands on the table. Rias goes, truly. So she's got the as he takes his hands and points them at the like what not the tips of his ears but the tops of his ears, and he pokes them both with his fingers.
A little.
Okay.
It's funny, it actually varies person by person. Some take more strongly to it than others. But
Go ahead.
as to how we met, honestly, sounded a bit familiar. You both met. Except I wasn't on the table.
Was she on the table?
No!
Immediately, Rias says, your mom just reaches over and lightly shoves him again. He goes, what? I had to ask.
Unlike you two, I don't think I am too fond of patient-caretaker relationships. And Gvidas laughs to himself. No. She's a cleric for the order. And I helped. I was her helper that day.
Oh. You were a helper, eh? And he immediately reaches over, just like wink, wink. It just kind of elbows you from the side.
Enough of that. I was actually her helper.
Rias would say, oh, you wanted to help her, all right. I'm pretty sure. And Marion says, Rias, calm yourself. And he's like, hey, that's my line. So Marion then says, so you met her and you were helping her.
And Gvidas thinks back on their hands touching as they were when she was applying pressure to that wound and needed him to basically take over for her that brief moment. And he says, well, we were working, treating someone, and our hands touch.
Immediately, she says, hand holding? You're already on to hand holding, holding hands and whatnot. Immediately, Raya says, they're already engaged. They're past that point.
Scandalous. I know. But we continued to work together. Then, before long, I knew I'd made a decent decision not going after that girl from the village. While she might be a catch, I think Serena is far greater.
And immediately, Marion would say, obviously, you're talking about a half-elf. Speaking of which, where does she come from?
Oh my gosh, her family comes from... Don't they come from the same place that Caldis is?
Yes,
Parents
indeed.
It's Everfell, right? Everesca.
Everesca.
Everesca, yeah. Her family comes from Everesca. I'll be honest, never asked why they moved here.
Well, as, let me see here. Let me actually see if Rias would know anything about this. Yeah, he doesn't have a single clue. As for Marion, though, I'm going to roll for her. Oh, wow. Okay. Marion would know about this as she says, well, I know that there are some people that are moving around or away from Everesca due to some disturbing events that have been occurring around there. Apparently, some non-elven settlements have been attacked.
All right, Crimson. I gotta give you massive props for weaving that into this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember that was a total coincidence we talked about. That's great. I like that.
Yeah, I had heard it from one of the merchant company delivery men who was coming by delivering some goods from far away from the capital. And he had mentioned about humans, dwarves, anybody that wasn't of elven descent moving away. But her being half-elven, maybe... Rias kind of just shrugs his shoulders. Maybe it was a point of contention. I don't know.
Well, regardless, for whatever reason it was, they came here. And we don't know when the wedding would be. But as of right now, it seems like it'll probably be when we're sent back. As of right now, we're both going out west.
Immediately, Rias, he leans back in his chair a little bit as Marion gets up, hearing the pot beginning to really bubble over here by the fire. She gets up from her seat. As Rias leans back in his chair, he looks over at you and says, "Honestly, son," as he looks over to her and then back over to you, says, "Could get married away from here, even if you wanted to. I mean, you're surrounded by, what, priests and whatnot all the time. So you could just, I don't know, get married out there. And I mean, we don't even have to be invited. Then you could come back here and maybe get to meet her in person afterwards, maybe. And maybe, well, I know we couldn't afford the journey to get that far. But I wouldn't mind whatsoever." And immediately, Marion, she walks over here carrying the pot in her hands. She puts these mittens on. She carries the pot in her hands and sets it right here on a like a ceramic tile, like small like place that is not exactly heat. Basically conducting heat away from the table and whatnot where it's being placed. As she begins to put the soups together, she says, "You know I could hear you, right?" And he goes, "Oh, well, and she says, "I would honestly prefer if they have the wedding here." "Here?" "Yes, here. We don't have any of the amenities. We have Rome, Rias."
Well, and considering the length of the trip, I don't doubt that it would be enough time for at least some planning to be done on that aspect. On the how, I mean, it's not exactly a large village. I don't expect there would be a lot of people. And obviously, I don't expect you to shoulder the burden of paying for more than just cabbage and lamb stew for the wedding feast.
"Oh, we would have a lot more than that, trust me. I don't... So, I've joined some of the other men downtown. We play this game together. You gamble." Hush, Marion, I don't gamble. I do gamble just a little bit, but, I have won a few hands, quite a few hands. You cheat. I don't cheat. Listen, I use advantages. As he turns back to you and quietly says it to you every single time, as he says, "I may have won a few hands. There are a few people in town that owe me some favors, so We can maybe get some fine meats. We've got the vegetation outside. We could. I know that Aldyen, the carpenter downtown, he could definitely offer some of his chairs and whatnot for seating arrangements. And as for priests and whatnot, you could probably just summon one of your people. There, we've got it.
I didn't know you were such a planner.
He then he takes his hand. He does the roll safe meme. And then he points at his head, and then he takes his left hand and he pokes you in the chest. He says, "Where do you think you get it from?"
I thought it was some sort of mutation.
Immediately, Marion kind of just like kind of chuckles as he says, I mind you, I will tell you, I was in a very healthy state. All right? I was in a very, very healthy state, and I kept myself healthy, and you're joking, aren't you?
Yes. But something I will say is you need to be careful who you cheat. Or who you display a sort of advantage against.
You need to be careful who you cheat. You're not really my parents.
Surprise! All of a sudden, the Marine. Oh gosh, what's his name? I don't know, the guy that he comes in with the message stone and a couple cards in hand and says, "Oh, guess what? You weren't the father." No.
Maury.
Maury, yeah. I'm just kidding, but
Reyes just does a backflip.
Whoa!
Good news, darling. My back is better. Bye.
Oh!
That's funny. I like that bit.
Marion,
I like that bit a lot.
Marion comes back with a couple of bowls in hand, steam rising from them, a spoon to ladle it out of. But as you sit there, as you're sitting there and whatnot, give me a nature or perception check.
Oh boy, I sure am good at those things. Boy, I sure am. I'm going to go with perception because I have +1 to that. That's the better of the two.
All right, so with the 12,
right, 12 a B.
with a 12, as she brings these stews around, you're able to pick up the aromas of a few herbs, different herbs from around the area that you would recognize, because some of these you've picked up and actually chewed on as a kid. So you'd recognize this.
Yummy grass.
You'd recognize this. It's like, what does this plant do? It's like Skyrim. You're just eating all the plants to get all the unlocked.
It's like the bit where people are like, yeah, so cavemen just found out what was edible and not when Grug ate one plant, felt good. Grug ate other plant, fell asleep, never wake up.
Fell asleep, never woke up.
Yeah, we call that plant night because it make people go night. But she brings
some sort of night shade.
she brings this to the table. You're able to pick up some of the smells coming from the stew in and of itself. Of course, you get the strong smell of cabbage, like salted and peppered cabbage that's inside the water in and of itself. Cabbage is pungent in and of itself, but in order to try and bury and kill that scent, she's added in a few other herbs into it, so the room wouldn't smell like it needed to be, or smell like it was fumigated. So that's part of the reason why it doesn't smell very heavily in the room, other than just like this nicer smell. She's added some of these herbs, one of which with a 12 you would note is a a sort of healing ingredient infused into it. So as she sits down, she sets one bowl in front of you, walks back over, sets another bowl in front of Rice, and sets another bowl in front of her, then sits back down. And she scoots forward and whatnot. She says, this is absolutely wonderful. And she then turns to Rias and said, Rias, you served with several elves in your time. Tell me, is it true that they don't have all too many kids? And Rias would say, well, maybe full-blooded elves. I don't know about half-elves. I mean, she's half what, other than half-elf, Gvidas?
Human.
His eyebrows raise as he looks at you, goes kind of like a kind of look as he looks over to Mary, and he says, as he looks over to you and says, son, I think you've gotten yourself into some trouble. As Marion then says, I've gotten into knitting. How many how many sets do you think I should make of clothes? And he's like, what do you mean, just for one? No, how many just in general do you think?
Maybe that's a conversation you should have with her when she's here for the wedding.
No. That's so messed up. You're gonna lay that on her.
and she immediately says, wouldn't that be such a fine wedding gift, though? I mean, you'd already have all these clothes and everything. Well, I mean, if you only have one child, you already have one set already made by yours truly. But if you have more, she says, adding emphasis onto that as she's looking over at you, and Rias is just...
what, you can't reuse them?
Crackles his eyebrows.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna have like sextuplets. I don't know. Do have elves have that? Do elves have that? Beast is gonna look at his dad.
And
elves only have one too, right?
Rias would shrug his shoulders. He said, "The men that I fought alongside weren't really married, per se." And I didn't.
Yeah, but did they have siblings?
They did, but not too many. And then Marion says, but she's part us. She's part human. She says she almost like lightly slams her hands on the table, and Rias is just like, oh, okay. She's part human. I don't know anything else about that. That's something to be. Honey, dearest, calm yourself. We'll find out exactly after the wedding, after the honeymoon. Things take time, all right? And she says, that's true. It's fine. I'm just thinking ahead, And he's just like, you're too old for this, right? You're too old to have this kind of fever. And immediately her face turns red as she goes, I am not. And he says, Gvidas, we did try. We did. If we had our way, you would have had at least 2 other brothers and sisters. But we're thankful we have you.
I appreciate that.
And he says,
He says with a very wide smile.
As he walks over here to this counter, it's actually more like several shelves stacked on top of each other. Of course, the crates put somewhere else on the shelf. As he reaches and he pulls a bottle off the shelf right here. He says, yes. So, this has been, saved for quite some time. It was
Is that the moonshine?
What is moonshine? This is not moonshine. This, I don't know what that is. This, my friend, my son, is something that I haven't opened since I came back from war. So.
Do you know it's still good?
Do I know it's still good? Let's see, he says, as he basically first tries to pry the cork off with his hand, as he's like, Hold on. I can get this. Just a moment. Just.
And he's gonna look at his mom and say, I mean, that's kind of a good sign to me.
And he says,
Picked out the seal.
and he said he pops the, basically just not like the cork, but he sets the bottle on the table and he pushes it over to you. He says, you give it a try. So I need you to give me an athletics check.
Athletics?
Athletics, yes, to see if you're able to just yank this thing out of there with a 19, just like effortlessly. You just and the cork comes out of there. Like, it doesn't just like, it's not like it just explodes or anything. On a 19, you just pop the cork and immediately this scent just fills your nostrils. It smells like a strong, interestingly enough, it smells like a very strong but fermented bottle of blueberries.
So Gvidas is going to look at his mom again and say, he must have loosened it up for me.
And
he's going to hand the bottle back.
as you do, Rias, he puts one hand under one of his armpits and rolls one of his arms, just like, yep. Absolutely.
Still got it.
Yeah. And with each of the goblets on the table, he pours some into his, pours some into yours, and pours some into Marian's as he sets the bottle back down on the table, as he puts his hand onto the glass and says, well, I know it's a little bit early on into the day for this, but still, this is definitely a means for celebrating not only a return home, but plenty of good news to be brought with it. As he raises his glass and brings it in the middle, he says, good news, son returning home, and future daughter-in-law to call her own.
And Gvidas is going to raise the goblet and slightly tilt it towards him. Like towards his own, towards Reyes's goblet.
All right. And Marianne,
With a nod acknowledging the cheer.
she would utter the same thing as she, basically, it's not like a loud clank. These aren't very, in other words, these wouldn't be goblets seen in a royal court. They're made out of wood.
Yeah, wood or pottery.
It makes like a light clunk as they clank together, with a few droplets going up into the air and then falling back into the goblet as it set it back down at the table. This would be a nice feast to have as return home here for the first time in some time, and excuse me. As enjoying this stew together, Rias would ask for another portion. He would then, as she returned to pick it up, he would then, after he empties his goblet, he takes the bottle and he fills it up again. As he then looks over at you, puts one finger to his lips as he says, "Shh."
Save some for when I get back.
And Raya says, at this rate, I mean, this is not too bad. A little tart, but still, it's pretty good. As she walks back to the table, she then, Marianne, as she sits back down, she asks you, so, you said that you're dropped off here. You said you're just here for the night?
Yeah. We are getting set tomorrow. I don't know if we're actually leaving tomorrow proper, but we're at least starting the saddle up, getting everything organized, all of the logistics handled.
I see. So we might not see you for some time.
I would imagine so. I don't think it would be as long of a trip, or I don't think I'll be gone as long as I was this last time. With what sounds like's going on. What, a couple months travel, a couple months there, a couple months back? I mean, I don't know what they have planned, but I don't see it being more than a year.
I see. So, Rias would nod as Marion would say, well, nonetheless, do hope that you come back sooner than expected. That'd be, well, sooner than expected and still undiseased, unaffected, as Rias would say.
Again, you don't have to worry about that. That's the reason why we're going there in the first place, is because there's nobody better equipped to handle disease.
So Rias would then add in and say, listen, from what I can understand, you are going to become a paladin of this order, correct?
Correct.
So he then turns to Mary and he says, we have nothing to worry about. I've heard some tales, and not just some tales, I actually served with a paladin of Tyr in my service. He's a very good man. I saw him clutch a symbol, put his hand to a man's chest who had his, almost had his chest destroyed by a vicious lightning bolt. It was fired from one man's fingertips. His body restored, just by laying hands on him. Marion, he will be in good hands. Truly. Especially if he serves the wounded one. I mean, after all, I'm sure there's a lot of people, plenty of people in that order that get wounded enough. Why else would you not be serving the wounded one if you aren't expected to get wounded?
I don't think she wants to hear that. I don't think she wants to hear that, Dad.
Immediately, yeah, Mary, and she's just looking down at her bowl and then looking over at him, and it's just like, that doesn't, dear, that just doesn't instill. I'm just saying, logically speaking, if they serve the wounded one, maybe there's some people that are wounded there. They know how to deal with wounds, you know. Something plus something equals. As he takes another sip from his goblet, as he goes, I think I forgot how many goblets I had.
I was about to say, when did you learn to do math?
As he looks over at you, he says, I don't know. When did I? So Marion, she kind of just face palms and says, "No, I need to take this away from you." As she slightly moves a bottle away, and Rias just he tries to reach for it effectively, but your father would have been able to, in any other circumstance, been able to easily just swipe that out of her hands. As she carefully slides that across the table, he just kind of haphazardly just kind of just wobbles as he reaches for it. As he goes, "Oh, well. I think maybe you should just stay with well water. Well water. Ugh. I need more of the blueberry. Blue. Why do I feel so sleepy?" Mary just shakes her head as she says, "Do you need me to prepare your bedchamber, sir?" "Oh, I think you mean our bedchamber, dear." Right. Do you need me to prepare our bedchamber for your arrival?" So immediately he sits straight up in his seat, goblet almost like a king holding his scepter, as he goes, "Yes, I do believe it definitely calls for it. Because that lamb hit the spot. And this beverage of choice is making me sleepy a lot. I'll get that ready for you. She says she picks up her bowl and then she reaches across the table, grabs yours, and then grabs his. And then as she puts these bowls over here, you see Rias just like he kind of gets up, kind of woozily, tries to get up on the table to try to reach for the bottle. Do you try to stop him?
So, Gvidas, I personally am not able to whistle. But Gvidas is going to grab the bottle lightly, and as his father keeps reaching for the bottle, he's going to slowly pull it away while whistling all nonchalant.
And as you do...
He keeps it, and he's going to keep it just out of his reach.
And as you do so, he kind of just looks over you, just squinting his eyes, and he goes, "How rude."
Oh, truly.
So Marion
How much is left in the bottle?
There's probably about half left.
Oh, we basically barely dented it.
Mm-hmm. Or a little under half, I should say.
Yeah.
As you see your mother disappear inside of this room, you would remember that your room is just right next door. Your old room, rather. As she walks into there, he then turns to you, Gvidas, and he says, "You know what's interesting?
What?" And as Gvidas asks that, he's going to take the cork, and he's going to jam it into the bottle to close it.
He looks over at the door and says, not to their room, but to your room, as he says, "You know that maybe at least twice a week, she would go into that old room. And I suggested that we tear it down and the wall down and expand, but she's kept it intact ever since you left. You know that, right?"
I'm glad to hear I don't have to sleep on the table.
No. She kept everything intact, waiting for you to come back. Just like I thoroughly believe that you will come back. You will. Not alone, obviously, but you will.
Well, you better hope that I come back. Because, and he's going to kind of shake the bottle a little bit in front of him. You're not going to be able to have another sip of this unless I do.
Wait, you're taking that with you?
He's going to... No, I just closed it.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, unless you find someone else to help you open it.
No. This was for this. This was for this. Oh, goodness. It was for this occasion. This special occasion. So it shall be the next time that you come back. We'll be waiting for you, son.
He's gonna set it on the shelf where it was before.
Well, listen. As he reaches his arm out to pat you on the shoulder. Why don't we go into town for a bit? Maybe take a trip down memory lane. After I take a nap, of course.
I was opening my mouth to say just as much. After your little... What is it? 2 p.m. nap?
Yes,
I would be delighted to.
Or you could even walk your mother around down the town if you like. Either way, I'll be fine.
I think I'll take care of a couple of the chores you're going to be missing out on while you nap. And
Absolutely.
then we'll talk more about it once you're up.
Absolutely. I will see you maybe an hour or two. It depends. Oof. Last time I was down and out for a while. Yes, you were. But you'll spring back up. I always do. Z turns to her, lightly kisses her as he steps inside and shuts the door behind him as she says, "Now, I'm going to go get that other bucket that you made me drop earlier." As she steps outside, and as we wrap things down to bring this session to a close, what would...
The camera fades to black.
Yes, as the camera fades to black, what would be some of the last things on Gvidas' mind?
That while the first time he left home after he enlisted, so excited to see where the world would take him, this time realizes that the thing he wants most in the world is to come back home.
And that we shall see if that actually occurs, especially after next session, when hopefully we're able to get everybody together, or as many people together, as we see what exactly, what does Shar have left? So we'll end the session tonight.
Excellent. Thanks for allowing me to learn a new move. I appreciate it.
Indubitably.
You had that anime flashback sequence, like in One Piece.
Yeah,
You realized
right.
the power was within you the whole time.
Indeed.
Right.
Well, for me, and this is an interesting take on this, but I thought about it, interestingly enough, whenever like you ever see people like at, or specifically like performers at a circus, maybe, or some sort of stunt show, whenever they use like blow torches and that kind of stuff, or like even like at the Renaissance Fair, there's this one guy who basically did like a similar thing, like blowing fire using a torch. So something similar to that. I mean, it would similar effect. So there is a potentiality to maybe amplify the range, or maybe even cause an added effect, potentially.
I will say it was interesting having to switch from being in the Gvidas mindset of kill, murder. I had to switch off of that and be like, oh yeah, I gotta be the old Gvidas.
Yes.
This is the character I haven't really played in like 15 sessions.
Indeed, indubitably.
That's fine. I had to change personalities too. I'm no longer the nice, friendly neighborhood Icy. Or Aldyen. I was bitter and battle hardened.
Yes. But something...
Maidenless, even.
Something... Yeah, maidenless.
No.
For the
What Zero
moment.
Maidens does to a Dragonborn.
Also, I gotta point out that gif of Cyclops and Ryu dapping each other up has always angered me.
Why?
Why? Because
Speak your truth.
Cyclops goes in with his left hand, but then clasps Ryu with his right.
They both go in with their left hand.
Yeah, I know. And then they both clasp with their right hand.
I legitimately think it is two completely separate pieces of art. like not even the same. They weren't intended to be together, because I think the original one, because the original thing was them. They just shook hands at the beginning of X-Men versus Street Fighter, like normal handshake. And I think it's two separate pieces. It was this. This was how it opened. The funniest,
That's
like
so
little. Yeah.
That's such an odd gif.
That's how the arcade machine opened. You saw that as a 10-year-old in like 1995. You're like, no way, dude! The X-Men and Street Fighter. Who could have seen this coming?
Right.
That would be like the Avengers showing up in Fortnite. Could you imagine?
Could you imagine Avengers Fork Knife?
Avengers Fork Knife.
Yes. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me.
Couldn't be me, dude.
Nope, couldn't be
I
me.
can't even imagine.
No, I can't even fathom.
All right, everyone, have a great night. Great session as always.
Y'all too?
It's always interesting to see the staunch atheist in the fantasy world in which dudes are running around casting lightning bolt and divine smiting, and you're like, not smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors, bro. It's fine. I had an experience, and now I'm learning sorcery.
Yeah, the Penn and Teller once came to my village, and they showed me that magic isn't real.
Or rather, thing is, you don't.
The quill and speaker.
You don't learn.
Quill and Teller. Wait, no.
Yeah.
Quill and oh my gosh. What's it's it? Herald. Quill and Herald.
Yes. The quill and herald. I love
I'm
that.
saving that one. I'm saving that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Anyways,
here.
yes, Crimson.
Anyway.
So basically, let me pull this up right here. So you don't learn how to be a sorcerer. They're kind of like innately born with it.
Okay.
So yeah, so basically like you have a sorceress origin. So in other words, it's something that was either maybe not genetically passed down, but maybe it was like some point. Oh, it's almost, to me, from what
Mutant.
from what I could understand, from what I could understand, it's almost like in Star Wars when the Force chooses somebody to be like Force sensitive and whatnot. That's like
that's bullcrap.
it's like
the Force was like, oh yeah, Finn, you're Force sensitive. Just kidding. No, you're not.
it's like well that was just poor writing.
The Force deciding that. That was the Force deciding that. That was two separate directors not talking to each other.
Wait a
minute. What are you talking about? Who's Finn?
Is
that from a movie I didn't know about?
Two separate directors and one lady trying to recreate the legacy of George Lucas in a crappy style.
I don't want to be insensitive or anything because I know you're streaming or anything, but there's a certain
I don't mind.
episode of South Park where they dealt with that.
Oh yeah. Oh my. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Oh my gosh. Cartman, Kathleen. Okay. Yep.
Yes.
I know. But there is hope with Maul Shadow Lord. I don't know if you've seen it. It's pretty good.
I don't know. It's because they got rid of all of the cool EU stuff. Where's my boy Katarn?
Yeah.
Come on. Where's Katarn?
Yeah.
I want the Jedi. I want the skeptic Jedi.
But maybe Cal Kestis is supposed to fill that role.
But Cal was a Jedi before the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle didn't know what Jedi were really until after the Empire.
Yeah, but in the second game, it looks like he appears to have some sort of like skepticism and whatnot of things.
He's more skeptic of like the code, and also this, you got to remember, this is in the modern Disney thing where Luke is not the very strong, wise leader that he was.
Oh yeah, hold on a second. So like Luke.
Because I mean, Katarn exists in like opposition of Luke, where Luke is like the extremely hopeful, like naively so to such a point that it loops back around to being incredibly wise. Because he's just ready to tank whatever negative consequences come from him standing by his beliefs. And Katarn's like, yeah, but you could just shoot them. That's why Kyle Katarn runs around with a blaster and a lightsaber. I know Cal Kestis does the same thing now. Leaving so soon?
Yeah, it's definitely so basically it's almost like Mistra. It's almost
That's,
like
Dark Forces 1, right?
I think, I don't know.
They just remastered that, or like they made an updated port on I think GOG.
Hmm.
Should check those out. They run perfectly on modern systems because it's GOG.
Indubitably.
All right, gentlemen, have a fantastic night.
Y'all too?
Gentlemen, you have a good night.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
Are we doing the French thing? Are we doing the spy TF2 thing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was what I was going for.
It could be me. It could be you. It could be.
It could be me. It could be you. It could even be you.
No,
Boom.
that would be your mother.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Check y'all later.
Have a good night.
Brr. Let me hold on a second. Let me end this event here. End event. Boop. And let me get this started up here. If it will play. If it will play. Come on. Yes. Hold on a second. I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, what you have just seen is a lore drop from our Knight Paladin, Gvidas, and our resident fighter, Aldyen. I know this week wasn't exactly the end of an era, the end of a saga, the end of the Baldur's Gate arc, but that milestone will be reached on May 30th, as our heroes gather together and face off against the unknown question that I have to ask, that anybody should ask, is what is Shar going to do? Will Caldes fulfill his agreement with Shar to turn over the wife of a sitting duke over to her and her champion? I hope that you guys had a good night tonight and awesome time. This is a little bit haphazardly thrown together, but notice that I'm actually pretty good without a script when it comes to D&D. Just pretty good, playing things out, not having to roll a lot, a whole bunch of RP, because you see, that's the pleasant thing about D&D. When it comes to storytelling and whatnot, you don't always... This shows that you don't always have to have some preset script that you got set out in front of you, which is part of the reason why I'm not running pre-made modules. Not all too many in comparison to the homebrewed element that is being brought into this campaign in a very major way. You too could do this. You too could do this. You too could be a dungeon master. You too could obviously be a player. It'll be far different than any other game that you've played, and hey, if you're a little bit skeptical of playing D&D, let me tell you, it's not too difficult to pick up. And I can tell it to you. I can prove it to you. It's a mixture of three things: theater and role-playing, a little bit of math, and strategy. Potentially. It depends on what kind of character you have. So if they're not very strategic, you could just get rid of that. But nonetheless, you too can play D&D. You too can roll the dice. And you too can have fun in a world unlike our own. Or maybe like our own. It depends. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you all a good night as the caffeination that I had from earlier, the nice bout of caffeination that I had is slowly making its way out of my system, and I want to prepare for tomorrow because I have tomorrow off. I have tomorrow off. For anybody who has a Sunday off, let me tell you something. It's a good day. It's a good day to have a day off. Take time. Spend time with friends and family. Fellowship in the Lord's house. And also, reflection. If not anything else, Sunday is a good day of reflection. So this evening, going on into tomorrow, don't just take my word for it. Look it up for yourself. It's a good idea to reflect, to ponder, to think, to dwell, to ponder, to think upon it, to dwell upon the day. We should not just simply charge through the day as if it means nothing. We should not simply go past that conversation as if it means nothing. I'm not saying be devoured by your own thoughts, but what I am saying is this. We should not let life so quickly pass us by. Life isn't one transaction to another. There's much more meaning than that. You see here, let me put up a passage. Put up a passage here. Life has so much more meaning. So much more meaning. I have several passages right here. And this is eternal life, that they know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. John 17:3. Ecclesiastes 12:13. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. And Mark 8:36. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not asking you to live life to the fullest by just doing whatever. The only way that you could truly live life to the fullest is to be filled, truly, by the presence of God, and that is only through one means. Surrender. Surrendering to God, surrendering to his will, his perfect will. Responding to that call on your life. So it all begins. So if you haven't today, I would encourage you to go on that journey. Several people have gone down for many years to study more and more about the faith. And may you too live a life truly filled. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Hope you have a good night as we look to raid out every day to show our love and support for friends everywhere. So the first raid message right there, that is the raid message for those who have not yet subscribed. So for those who haven't subscribed, that is the OG raid message. But for those who are subscribers, which I would encourage you to subscribe today, that raid message right there will be for you. All right. I hope that you all have a good night tonight. Let me see if I can find somebody to raid. And there's a whole lot of somebodies to raid. A whole bunch of people to raid. What is that? What in the world is that? Is it a horror game? I don't know what that is. Hold on. Okay, no. Trying to think of somebody that I haven't raided in a while. Let's raid... Tell you what, we're gonna raid Zaf. We're gonna raid Zapadap. Zapadap! He's currently playing Repo with friends, ladies and gentlemen. So show appreciation for his fellow content creator. Believe still PNG too, but last time I checked his channel, so he's just like me. He's 2D. 2D! Not 3D. I think that's the Dudley's move from the WWE. Speaking of which, I've got to catch up on SmackDown from last night. So, ladies and gents, have a good night, and God bless every one of you. Hannah Banana, why are you coming here at the last second? We're about to raid. You silly goober, we're going.